everybody. So today in writing, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than normal. Instead of writing our own, we're going to be reading somebody else's writing. The problem is in this writing, they have made mistakes. And it's our job to figure out where they are. Because if we can recognize it in someone else's writing, we should be able to recognize it in our own writing as well. So I have pulled a passage. It's called Tiny Houses. Look, this guy's standing in front of his tiny house. Very cool. At the beginning, there's always like a little synopsis, and it says what the author was thinking when they wrote. So I'm going to read this to you. It says, Sam saw a picture of a unique house in a magazine. After researching the house, he wrote his paper to share what he had learned. Read Sam's paper and look for any mistakes that he has made. Then answer the questions that follow. So you're looking for mistakes that Sam has made. Poor Sam. He has some biggies. So we're going to read through our short little passage. And if you'll notice, each one of my sentences has a number in front of it. There's lots of numbers. Let's look at the next page because it can be like, whoa, what just happened? What's with all the numbers? Because it's not paragraphs. See? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It keeps going. They've put a number before each sentence. And they did this for a good reason. When you get to the questions, it says in sentence 1, in sentence 7. So they put the numbers so that when you go back to look at the sentence they're talking about, it's easy to find them. That's why the numbers are there. So nothing crazy. They just numbered the sentences so it's easier to find them whenever we go back to correct Sam's work. So let me read this to you, and then I'm going to show you what to do with the questions. Tiny houses. Jay Schaefer lives in a house that is smaller than some people's closets, but Schaefer says his little house is all he wants. It has no wasted space and no room for items he doesn't need. Schaefer also points out that a tiny house has less impact on the environment. Schaefer's house is only 89 square feet. That's about 9 feet by 10 feet. It don't seem like a house that small would have room for anything except a bed, but Schaefer is very creative. Okay, so I have to stop because it don't seem like it kind of, that's not right. It don't seem like, what's a better word? Or what's the wrong word? That one. What would be a better word? How doesn't? It doesn't seem like a house that small. Sometimes when we're writing, we have to slow down and reread exactly what we wrote because we might be going so fast, we make a mistake. Or we might write like we talk instead of writing correctly. Sometimes the words we use just when we're talking with a buddy are not the same as what we should use when we're writing. So these are the kinds of mistakes that we're looking for. So I'm going to read it again. Schaefer's house is only 89 square feet. That's about 9 feet by 10 feet. It doesn't seem like a house that small would have room for anything except a bed, but Schaefer is very creative. In his tiny house, he has a desk, a very small fireplace, and a living room that comfortably seats 4 people. In the kitchen, there's a single sink, a small refrigerator, and a stovetop with 2 burners. That's pretty good inside that small little space. All right. Schaefer's bedroom is in a loft above the kitchen. The ceiling is angled, and a bed fills the room. Shelves cover one triangular wall, and the other wall has a window. It all looks very cozy. Jay Schaefer isn't the only person who lives in a tiny house. Some people even build little tree houses to live in. One sphere-shaped house in Canada hangs in the trees, and the only way its owner can get to it is by climbing a long set of winding stairs. The world's narrowest house is in Brazil. Brazil is the name of a country. So what's wrong with that word? That's right. It needs to be capitalized. Brazil. It's important. Although this house is 3 stories tall, it measures only 1 meter across the front. 1 meter is like hold out your arms to the side. That's a meter. It's probably larger than a meter. So you got to squeeze through the door. Sorry. The city of Amsterdam in the Netherlands is famous for some skinny houses too. At one time, taxes there were based on how wide the front of the house was. As a result, some people builded houses that were only as wide as a typical front door. Builded? That doesn't sound right. We'll come back to that one. Ah, sorry, having issues getting to my next page. Here we go. Last paragraph. Many people say that a big house is better, but there are other people all over the world who disagree. They believe that small houses make much more sense. According to Schaefer, who now runs a company that designs and builds small houses, the simple, slower lifestyle my homes have afforded is a luxury for which I am continually grateful. Okay, so we have read the story. We found a couple of the mistakes, but not all of them. So let's look at a question. This one has to do with sentence number 1. Anytime we see the words what change, and generally it's what change, if any, should be made to sentence 1, we are looking for spelling mistakes, capitalization mistakes, or like using apostrophes. So apostrophes. I think it's IES. An apostrophe is this thing right here. It goes in between a word with an S and it shows ownership. So this would mean that the closet is owning something. I don't know if that's right or not. So when I look at this, I say, okay, what do I need to do? Well, it's asking about sentence 1. So I think I need to go back to sentence 1 and definitely reread it. But it would also make sense to try and find the words and plug them in. So let me show you what I mean. Here is sentence number 1. Jay Schaefer lives in a house that's smaller than most people's closets. Yes? So if I look at A, it says change lives to live. So if I was to change this to live, and I read the sentence again, it would say Jay Schaefer live in a house that is smaller than some people's closet. Which one makes more sense? Jay Schaefer lives in a house, or does Jay Schaefer live in a house? Well, lives makes more sense. So it's not going to be that one. How about number 2? Change then to than. Ooh, that's one of those grammar things. So we can add grammar to our list of things to look for. So is it going to be then, or than? Let's find it. Jay Schaefer lives in a house that is smaller than or than. Some people's closets. Let's read it again. We're going to plug in the new word. Jay Schaefer lives in a house that is smaller than some people's closets. Ooh, that sounds good. Let's read it again. Jay Schaefer lives in a house that is smaller than some people's closets. It's than, not then. So this is a definite possibility because that sounds right. Let's check the last one. Change closets, which is a plural, which means more than one, to closets, apostrophe S, which means the closet possesses something. It's theirs. So let's look. Jay Schaefer lives in a house that is smaller than some people's closets. Does the closet own anything? No. So it's not going to be an apostrophe S. This one is correct. So the correct answer then would be B. And I have worked through my sentence, plugging each one of these in to see which one sounds better. Sometimes whenever we read a sentence with words that aren't correct, we can hear it, especially when we know what we're looking for. So this is what you're going to be doing today in writing. You have a different passage to read. It's about cookies. Yum. And that one is personal narrative. I'm sorry, at the beginning of this video I said this was a personal narrative. It's not. This is actually an informational passage. But the one you are going to be reading today about cookies is a personal narrative, which is what we've been working on. And you're going to have questions, and you're going to go back and you're going to plug in each one of these choices into that sentence. I will tell you right now, letter D is hardly ever the answer. Hardly ever. So you're always looking for which one is the correct thing that you need to change, because D is hardly ever the answer. No change should be made. Most of the time there's a change that needs to be made. Anyway, go back into your passage. You're going to have to flip from slide to slide and try out the words. You can type them in, you can write them with a pen tool, whatever you want to do, and try and figure out which one sounds better. Then we can practice this in our own writing as well. Our own writing, we are not perfect, we're human. So our writing is not perfect because it was written by us who are human. So we should go back and double check to see if maybe we forgot to use than rather than then. Or maybe we put live and it should have been lives. Maybe we used an apostrophe when it just needed to be a plural, just add the S at the end. Guys, we have to double check our writing. It helps our reader understand better when things are correct. So we go back in and we check for things like spelling, capitalization, apostrophes, did we use them correctly? Is our grammar correct, like then and than? That's why we're doing this. We're going to recognize it in other people's writing so that we can then recognize it in our own. All right, have fun with this. Give it a try. See what you think.